What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Restoration Rundown Podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to you, the restoration business owner. My name is Ben Riccardi. I'm your host, and I'm also the CEO of Ironclad Restoration Marketing, where we help restoration business owners with all of their digital marketing needs, including SEO, website design, and pay-per-click. Now, if you're a restoration business owner, then, it's all about growth. You should be listening to this if you want to grow your business. Whether it's growing yourself personally to be a better leader or just growing your team, growth should be at the forefront of everything you do. And if it's not, you're probably listening to the wrong podcast. I apologize for that, but you're going to want to stay tuned because we've got a really cool episode today and a really special guest that I got a chance to meet at the Collective Conference in Austin a few weeks ago. He's the founder and chief growth officer at Trifecta Growth Institute, which is an organization that's focused on growing businesses or by growing people. So I want you to help me in welcoming Mr. Rod Cruce from Trifecta Growth Institute to the podcast. Rod, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Benjamin, thanks a lot. Appreciate the warm introduction there, and really great pleasure to be on the show, and appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. No, it's our pleasure all the way. I met you, like I said, at the Collective Conference. I really liked your vibe. I liked what you had to say. And what I like most, and we're going to get into this today, is that it seems like you really have a genuine, mission to really help people, right? Whether they're business owners or struggling, any little area they may be struggling in their business. And you've got quite an interesting background. So before we get started into all that, why don't you give our viewers and listeners a little bit of a background on yourself and really how you got involved in the restoration industry specifically?
Yeah, sure. No problem. Rod Cruce here. I did 21 years in the United States Army. I was a Green Beret, also known as Special Forces, and also a Ranger. I did that for the majority of my career. Started out as an enlisted guy and was about 10 years enlisted, and then switched over and became an officer, and went to officer candidate school. They call that a Mustang, and, had a great career. Fortunate enough to be around great people, just in ability to, travel across the world. Was in a lot of cool places, and I was in a lot of really terrible places.
Yeah.
I was in Afghanistan, Iraq, Colombia, and about another tons of countries, and some of them you never probably heard of, and some of them I can't even tell you some of the stuff we're doing there, but it was a pleasure, and it really enjoyed it. And it really was a foundation for me as a leader to come out and, start my own business as well. And which we started right before I got out, even where we were doing residential building, doing like a lot of spec homes.
Okay.
And yeah, so it was, go figure, it was coming from, but we did a lot of projects overseas. So we built schools and hospitals and electrical power plants and stuff like that. So we ran a lot of strategic projects, and, even upwards of $100 million. And so it kind of was a natural fit, I guess you could say. And when I came out, started a training and coaching and consulting business, but really focusing on the defense industry, and was back over in Iraq as soon as I got out, running a huge program there. And just the defense industry, I kind of knew it, so it was comfortable.
Yeah.
Did that for a while, and then, looked at these defense contractors, and I said, okay, we're going to start doing project management stuff. And so we started providing a bunch of special forces guys as project managers to some of these electrical contractors, some of these builders, because we understood the big picture, we understood the landscape, and we brought all that technical knowledge and put it together in a management piece to where it made sense. And worked with a company building the 55 megawatt power plant in Bagram. And really good, solar systems. They came out of that and then went into building modular data centers for NASA, and put those in play, and did that for the Air Force as well. And then, of course, sequestration took over in 2014. And so I decided to pivot into something a little bit more predictable. And that's when I got into more of the construction. I'd already been in the construction business quite a bit, but more in the restoration world, and then bought a failing restoration company, and then, kind of new to that industry, but wasn't really new to it, and ended up turning that company around, selling that a couple years back, and then starting Trifecta Growth Institute, which is my focus now, because I saw a big need in the industry for some assistance, and helping companies turn around and transform from not doing so well. And just like your podcast talks about growth, if you're if you're not growing, you're dying is the way I look at it. So, and that's what we focus on. We focus on growing people, focus on growing businesses by growing people, because that's what's going to grow your business is your people. You got to get the right people there, and you got to get them the tools they need. And that's what we believe in.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's kind of interesting too that you had a bunch of special forces guys running jobs. I bet you didn't get a whole lot of lip from your sub and your vendors, huh?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, that's a really interesting background, and thank you for your service. Like I mentioned before, we jumped on air. I've got quite a bit of family members that served in the military, and that's a long, hard career that you went through. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody that's listening does as well. So Trifecta Growth Institute, you mentioned that you bought a failing restoration business, which unfortunately is the majority of restoration businesses out there, just because of all of the different problems that people can have, that hopefully we can identify some of those issues and help some people out, which is the nature of this podcast. So what led you to starting up Trifecta from doing that to this? And I know there's been a couple other stops in between there, I'm sure, as well, right?
Yeah, when I sold my company, then the next thing, I was going to get into some public speaking, and I was kind of looking to retire. And I still own a commercial construction company.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever saw those iFly wind tunnels.
Yeah.
We built some of those as well on the industrial side, and then of course with commercial piece. So I still had that going, but I was kind of like I really felt like I could help a lot of restoration business owners. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a void on some of that aspect to where, some people say there's a difference in construction and restoration, and there is some nuances in that piece, but they all stem from the same thing. It's project management services. And, I always tell people, I'm like, what is your product? What are you delivering? And almost everybody comes back and say, oh, we're doing restoration services. And I come back and I say, I disagree. I think you're doing project management services because that's what your biggest value proposition you bring to the table. And some people look at me and they kind of like, no, I know we're doing construction. I said, yeah, but I could, a homeowner or somebody could go hire somebody off Craigslist that could do the same thing as drywall or framing or something of that nature.
Right.
But your biggest value proposition you bring is your project management. You're putting all that together. You're integrating that. And I think when they realize that, it changes the narrative. At that point, it's bigger than just drywall or baseboard or flooring. Those are things that are the technical aspects of it. But when we get into leadership and the management and what we're really offering, it's much bigger.
Sure, and that makes a lot of sense. A light bulb went off when you mentioned that, and I've never heard anybody put it that way, and it may just be the ignorance to the industry a little bit. But I think that's an important thing to assert because you are, and a big part of what we do marketing wise, and something that we preach to our clients and people that I'm talking to on stage or when I'm doing a conference, is you're selling an experience. You're dealing on the residential side, you're dealing with people with catastrophic property damage in some circumstances, and they need a partner that will come in and will just take care of the job for them. So if you are, and that's 100% right, where the light bulb went off is like, wow, they are. They're creating an experience with project management. So the smoother the project goes from start to finish, onboard to offboard and reconstruction, the better experience, the more referrals, and this is just going to be this cascading waterfall of good things that are happening for your company. So I really appreciate that assertion. I have not heard that before, so we'll coin that right here from Trifecta. You are project managers. I'm sure people maybe know that, or they just haven't had the light bulb click in their head. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I get it all the time, and I mean, when you talk about it, then you're like, like you said, I never thought of it that way. I always consider myself in the construction business or the restoration business, but I mean that is your value proposition, and I think that as working with carriers, working with homeowners, stuff to that nature, that's what they lack. I mean, that's what they can see the drywall and they can see you screwing it in there. But man, it's all that invisible stuff that's hidden, that's behind the scenes that you're that project manager is the magician of, and the company is responsible for creating and enabling that to take place. And then your project managers and your project team, I like to talk about. It's not just about a project manager because a lot of companies will take their project managers and they either put them on an island or what I like to say is they're in a one-legged person in a butt kicking contest. And, that leg's going to tire out. And that's what drives burnout within our industry a lot. So, but you got to have a team around you. And that project team is what we want to focus on.
Sure. And I guess aligning everybody the same when we talk to people about sales and trying to tell a company that, every single person that is involved in your company is a salesperson for your company. And you got to look at them that way. So I think that goes right along. So let me ask you a question. Let's get right into it. What are some ways that you are getting these business owners or groups to switch from that service-based mentality to the, making sure that you're managing a project mentality?
Yeah, that's that's always the big, like you said, light bulb. And it's educating. Number one, it's educating the industry. And I say that twofold. Number one, it's out there trying to scream as loud as you can. Hey, you're doing project management services. You're a projectized company. You don't have something that, your projects start and end, and they keep starting and ending. And so you have to be a projectized company. You have to be aligned to be able to deliver that service, first of all. And so you got to, it's educating owners, general managers, project managers, mid-level managers. You got to educate them on that aspect of it. And then the second part of it is actually educating them. You got to create subject matter experts. And, that's, as a Green Beret, they always say, you're a subject matter expert, but you're also, a jack of all trades and a master of none. And that's the same thing as a project manager. There's a process to it. There's also knowledge areas you've got to put in play. There's also processes you got to do. And the problem, I think, with a lot of our industry that we don't see is a lot of companies don't have processes, and a lot of companies don't have structure, and and they only go so far. And then you let project managers kind of run around. And they're doing the best they can, right? They're saying, "Oh man, I got to get this done." But when you can get them educated and understand that there is a logical, natural process to this, and it's going to save them time, it's going to save them effort, and it's going to create a much better experience for them and their customer. That's what we want to do, and we do that by providing training to the individuals within that. Well, industry professionals is what I call them.
Sure. And now it's a really interesting as well. And something that ends up happening just naturally with all of these episodes and everybody that I bring on are we keep going back to the systems word, right? We preach it here when it comes to marketing, but it's really applicable to life. If you don't have the right systems and processes, you are only going to get so far. You can only run so far on the steam that you're building up just by doing things. So, if you're listening to this, I actually published a couple articles on systems versus goals, and that every business owner has the same goal. We want to make money, but it's the separator there. The main difference is going to be the people that have the systems in place to get to that goal. So written down plans, a plan of action, standard operating procedure. There's all that.
Something can be replicated.
Is super important. And when it comes to growth and leadership, that's fundamental. It's crucial. So it needs to be there. So that's something that Trifecta comes in and helps these companies do.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's working at the strategic,
okay.
Did I lose you?
No, we're still here. We may have a little bit of a connection issue, but just keep going. I can see you.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's like whether we're, look at it, if we're working from the operational level or strategic level on that piece of it, where it's setting in the strategy, the systems, how are you going to plan that out? Number one, developing the leadership team is huge. And then it goes all the way down to the actual mid-level managers who are out there in the field, who's communicating with the customer, making sure that is connected. Because a lot of times what we see is there's this desire at the upper level, and they feel like they're communicating it down to the bottom level or even the mid-level managers, but we're not getting the results we're looking for. Sure. And we feel like we're just communicating because we're saying this is what we want to do, but we're not giving them the how. How are we going to get that? What do you got to do at that level to support this? And we miss a lot of connection there. And I think if we can close that gap, then at that point, and that's what we try to do. We find ourselves working with a lot of the leadership teams, and we come up with a strategy and these operational fixes, but then it's not done. That's just the roadmap. Now we got to underwrite that, and we got to put things in place. And we got to give people, we got to enable our doers to get out there and get the work done. And we got to make sure it's something we can repeat over and over again. So it's kind of a two-tier approach.
Yeah, and I'm sure every single client's going to be different. They're going to have different issues, and they're going to be at a different level of leadership or ownership. Some of us, I thrive in the chaos, I guess, and some people don't. They need more structure and rhythm, and that's where teams come into play, right? I'm fortunate enough here at our marketing agency to have an amazing team that I can rely on and I can lean on. I can be a visionary, and I can be all crazy and chasing shiny things and looking at squirrels, and I've got a team that'll pull me back down to earth to actually deliver the results that I'm trying to translate through my crazy action. So, I appreciate all that background on Trifecta. So a couple things that we do, and I talked about this before on the podcast, is we're all about helping people, right? I have a digital marketing agency. I help restoration contractors get leads with SEO and pay-per-click and websites, and you help businesses grow by helping their teams grow. One of the things that we like to do here is identify some key issues in the restoration industry specifically that's going to resonate with the newbies and possibly with some of the old school seasoned vets out there. And I know that pre-show we talked about a few things, and what I'd love for you to do is identify 2 or 3 key fundamental issues in the industry, even if there's overlap in what we've already talked about. I think that'll be very valuable information, and then how you aim to solve those problems, or something actionable that somebody can take away from this episode right now and implement in their business to be able to solve those issues.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on the sales and marketing aspect of it, and I'm sure you understand functions of business, right? Sales and marketing are functions of business. Operations is functions of business. Then you have your finance and your admin. And and that's every business. Every business has those 5. You can narrow them down to 3 different departments, but if you don't have yourself understanding that piece of it, that sales and marketing is going to bring you business. And if you may have a really, really effective sales marketing piece, but if you get all those jobs in and you can't turn those jobs, then your cash flow is going to suffer, your reputation is going to suffer, your entire image. And so you've got to have a good operations and team, just like you're talking about, that's got to be able to take that handoff. Because, a lot of people will focus on just doing the sales and marketing piece, and they're like, oh, we got to grow, but they're not set up internally. And I see that being a major issue a lot of times. I mean, we're working with a couple of companies right now that, made a huge jump, and they were able to get the jobs in, but now they can't complete them. So one of the biggest things I would ask, for people in the industry is look at yourself, look at your functions of business, and see how they're operating. If you've got really great sales and marketing and you're getting leads and you're closing leads and you're getting that point, but your operations is not able to handle it, sometimes you may have to back off the gas pedal a little bit and realize you got to grow in a different way. Yeah. It's not by the number of jobs, but you still want to be able to have that. And you want those mechanisms and those sales funnels to bring you in. But you've got to get some better suspension underneath the tires and get some better tires that's going to be able to handle the load so you can turn that. Or else what's going to happen is you're going to run short on cash flow. Yep. And then you're going to suffer either way and reputation-wise. So one of the things I say, look at that from a business perspective and see where you need to grow first. That's the first one. And the second one I would say is look at your team, because your team is going to tell you provide a lot of information. If you're seeing constant burnout or constant struggles in that point, then you've got to assess that piece and say, okay, how am I going to enable this person to be better, to do better, to create new profit, new margins, or new revenue, whatever that is, and figure out how they fulfill that in that pipeline or in that wheel, the cog, however you want to put that cog in the wheel, however you want to say it. But everybody has to be functioning that way together, and you've got to be able to enable that as a restoration company, to be able to make sure that you can make sure you're not overwhelming your personnel or burning them out. And we see that a lot in this industry. And, we talk about turnover, and a lot of times turnover happens because we're people don't leave jobs a lot of times. They leave managers or they leave bad situations. So if you have a lot of turnover, that's a great time for you to go back and look in the mirror and say, okay, why am I getting this much turnover? And we had a time period when we had that turnover. It happened over about real quickly in 6 months. And I had to go back and look in the mirror and say, what am I doing? What is not working here? And a lot of that was taking a step back and figuring out which way we're going to go. And then I'd say the third thing is for the people who's down in the trenches doing this on a day-to-day basis and that portion of it, do you understand where your company wants to go? And are you equipped to be able to do what they're asking you to do? And if you're not doing, if you're unsure, number one, you got to ask, and we got to get clarity, right? We got to clarify what we're really being asked to do, because a lot of times I feel like you say, you get some information or something like that, and you're like, okay, I got it. But then as soon as they walk out the door, they go back to their office or something, then they're kind of like, I don't got it. So what do you really mean by that? And it's okay to go back and ask questions, but also you got to look out for yourself and say, what do I need to be successful? What types of instruments or what do I need to get in my kit bag or tool box to be able to allow me to make this happen for the company that, I'm dedicated to and I'm aligned with?
Yeah, those are really great points. And, it's funny, again, these go back to these fundamentals of owning a business and entrepreneurship. And it sounds like, number 3 that we talked about here is going to have a reason. The man with a reason is twice as dangerous as the one without one. And you have a lot of business owners out there, especially in this industry, that are, I want to make money. Well, who do you want to serve? I don't know. Anybody with property damage. Well, wait a minute. Let's get a little more granular with this. So I appreciate those. Those are really high level issues, but I think that every single person, business or not business, just in general in life, these are things that people struggle with, is kind of going headfirst into things without a good plan, without good solid systems. I've seen a lot of companies get a ton of work and then not be able to fulfill the deliverables. And that's a big problem to have. You want consistent, sustainable growth, right? Is the trick. You don't want to have a ton of growth and then nothing. So you have to have a plan. You have to have a reason why you're doing things, and you have to have some sort of compass pointing you in the right direction. Now, to switch gears a little bit, you've got something coming up, and it looks like the date here starts today. Your linchpin training course.
Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I can still hear you. You got me? Sorry for the dead air here, everybody that's listening to this, but we're having some internet issues. I'm in South Florida, so we've got hurricanes blowing through every day. Did I lose audio? I can hear you clicking and everything. Can you hear me now?
There you go. I got you.
All right. Yeah, I was. You just missed like the best part of the episode, guys. Rod, when you couldn't hear me.
No,
I'm just kidding. I was talking about your linchpin training course you have coming up. I know looking at the date here, started today.
No, we ended up actually rescheduling that. We had a couple of people that asked us if we had an instructor that was going to have to do it from a different location, and we had a couple of people asked if we could change the dates. So we reached out to the people, and we ended up pushing it to the 12th. And
October 12th.
Yeah, so it starts on the 12th now, and then
tell me a little bit about it.
About the linchpin. Yeah,
yes.
The linchpin is. It's our flagship course for project managers.
Okay.
And it's given 1 day a week over 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then we follow it up with the Restoration Warrior, which is a workshop to be able to put the tools and techniques we learn in there to help project managers come with a plan. We talk about some of the things that we see in the industry. We see a lot of project managers, they have a plan, but it's right up here. And whenever if something happens, that project manager becomes a single point of failure. And then we're starting all over again.
Sure.
And we also talking about becoming subject matter experts. That's what the linchpin does. It answers a lot of the whys, the understanding. It gives you the principles, the concepts, the procedures that we're looking to do as an integrator, as a project manager, that's going to support your company. It's also going to allow owners to have a good understanding of what they need to do for systems. We talk about systems like you were saying there, and it doesn't always have to be IT systems. Because a lot of times we put a lot of IT in first, but we don't have the systems underwritten underneath it that are proven that's going to get us in. If we put in software, it should help us get them done faster. The linchpin gives you that understanding, those foundations, that framework, that project management framework that's going to allow the company to be able to transform into that type of projectized company. And it gives the project manager the knowledge to be able to be that subject matter expert. And then when they come back to the Restoration Warrior, we're taking those tools and we're narrowing it down to about 4 to 5 tools that they can take and they can plan out on every job, that it doesn't matter. Once you get that done, you can hand it off to anyone and they should be able to pick it up and be able to help you complete that job a lot more efficient, a lot more effective.
And that's where SOPs are so important in business. You know, your standard operating procedures, the whole point of putting those together, and there's a lot of work, is to be able to hand off to the next person and make the training and the learning curve a little bit shorter. So the linchpin sounds awesome. And Rod, you were gracious enough to offer our listeners a coupon code to save 20%. I'm ticking that on the bottom here. You can save 20% off any registration for their next linchpin training course, which is starting on October 12th. You're going to use the code IC20. I as in idiot, because I can't think of any other word that starts with an I right now. C as in cat, 20, and we'll save 20% off. Ironclad does not get any cut of this. We really are interested in helping people out. And guys like Rod that I meet at these convention stuff, we need to have them on so we can help you guys out, grow your businesses. Rod, if somebody was interested in signing up, what do they email you, phone numbers that you sent me over? Can I scroll that across the bottom?
You can absolutely do that. The quickest way to do is go visit our website at trifectagrowthinstitute.com. Go to the training up on the top menu to be under training and under courses. You'll find linchpin there, and you can just scroll down. You know, you can drill down into that, and it has some information on there. We're about ready to put a video up there that talks a little bit more about it. Hopefully that will be up this afternoon, and then you can register right there. And then once you register, we'll send you out all the information so you can get logged in to that nature. And we're probably gonna have a big surprise on the first day on this one. We're going to introduce a little bit of a hybrid method to where we're going to have a little bit of e-learning on there where we're going to talk about it, generate a lot of good thought. Because that's one of the things that people tell me all the time that they love about our linchpin course is we create discussions. And also we tailor it to what the restoration world is and their experiences. So we're stepping up our game a little bit on this one. And so we hope to see you guys out there. And if you just go to our website, you'll find it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for anybody that's just listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Deezer, Weebly, all these different, you go to their website is trifectagrowth.com. Is there a hyphen in between?
No, it's actually, we shortened that up for the email. The actual website is trifectagrowthinstitute.com. Trifectagrowthinstitute.com. And if you're following along we're live on LinkedIn and YouTube, we will have this stuff in the caption. We'll have all Rod's contact information, how you get in touch with them on LinkedIn, Facebook, on their YouTube to be able to watch these videos. Rod, I love that you guys are going to implement video. I've been saying this a lot. This is something that's coming down the pipeline for our clients. If you want to get rankings on Google and you want to set yourself apart with the prevalence of AI coming out, helping people create content, video is going to be huge. And, a lot of people resonate with video a lot better. So I'm really happy to see that you guys are going to be implementing that a lot more on your website. Everybody, Rod, thank you so much for coming on. I think everybody got a lot out of this. We hope to have you on in the future when you get settled a little bit more and maybe talk about getting into some specifics with some trainings. We can have some more actionable items here. Again, I can't thank you enough for your time. I know how busy you are, guys. Get in touch with Rod, trifectagrowthinstitute.com. Sign up for the linchpin course. It's starting October 12th. Don't miss it. I might even be signing up, so you may see me in there. Rod, again, thank you so much for joining us here on the Rundown. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to talking to you in the future. That's great, Benjamin.
All right, everybody. That's it for today. I want to thank Rod for coming on the episode. And if you are struggling with SEO, Google Business Profile, your pay-per-click, your LSA, please feel free to reach out to us here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing. One of my team members are experts in digital marketing for restoration contractors, and I feel like we can help you out right away. Until next time, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.